Hello and welcome to Phoenix Vision. I am here with my newfound friend Sabio Janiak. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here.
Great to have you on, mate. I'll give you a short introduction and we'll get into it. So, Sabio is a man of many, many talents. He is the founder of the Mastering Harmony Center and Psychosensory Clinic, Be Well Music. He's a multidisciplinary holistic mental health practitioner, polymath, end of life doula, which I'd love to explore as we go into the podcast, trauma therapist, artist, multi instrumentalist, and transformative coach. So, yeah, like we're put in touch by a mutual friend, editor. Hello, editor, if you're listening. And yeah, I'm really enjoying the short time that we've known each other. It's been very expansive, and yeah, I guess I want to ask you about your journey, but also just kind of open up with like I witnessed like one of the most impressive, amazing musical performances last night in terms of with your recommendation I went to a contemporary dance class and to which you were like doing the music for, and it was just incredible just to see the your ability to improvise and just feel the room and feel the music, and just to create very deep, very moving music in such a very short space of time using like loop pedals and like a big piano and all sorts of different stuff. So yeah, bro, I'd love to ask you about your journey into helping support others in their healing. We spoke about, you just said about having like two lives, one as a therapist and one as an artist. So yeah, like you're into so much interesting stuff. I'd love to just hear like a little bit about your journey. What led you into doing all of the stuff that you're doing at the moment, Sabia?
Okay, so let me start from music because music was first. So I started playing music and learning music since when I was 4. So I started from classical piano until I was 16, and then I changed to drums, drum kit, and classical percussion. So at the end, I ended up, I have a master's degree in classical percussion. So I studied in Poland at the Academy of Music. And I've been professional musician like all my life, really. And also I'm a composer, so I compose for and produce music for mainly for contemporary dance. And this is kind of this is the part of my life which is just like very natural to me, and it's just happening. So I work a lot with different artists, movement artists, dancers, choreographers, and also I deliver the kind of music service for dance, different dance techniques, contemporary dance techniques, working at different universities, different places. Like you could experience yesterday was like Rombe, Trinity Laban, Royal School of Ballet. So half of my life is around that. So the second part, which is where is like my deep inside in my heart is where my heart is this wellness and well-being of human being and this human soul, I would say. So that's why I got into this different healing modalities, and everything started in 2012 when I took the course called cellular resonance therapy, and I started studying sound on on cellular level, on micro scale, micro vibration, and that was fascinating. Where I had to like learn a bit of Chinese medicine, the tuning forks, different frequencies, resonance, and the resonance of the body, how the body reacts to different frequencies, and nervous system. And since then, actually, it at the same time opened new world for me, but at the same time destroyed the old world. And the old world for me was that uh, this let's say um, being convinced that I know, as a musician, I know something about sound and vibration, but this collapsed completely, and I realized I have no idea, zero idea what I'm doing as a musician. And I've been, professional session musician for all my life, like most of my life. And that was this point that I started like, oh my God, I need to really find out more about what the vibration is and the sound. And this led me to other modalities, because through music and vibration I realized that I can understand. It's like a blueprint, it's like a map, and the relationship between tones and uh, musical relationships between notes and tones. It's literally like it's a blueprint from my perspective about life. So how, everything, it's like music, everything is like music for me. And this helped me, and that's what led me to investigate different modalities. um, uh, and there are many, and because I'm just like kind of obsessed about this, about knowing myself. I want to know myself, so just naturally I'm being driven towards that. Hmm.
That's really beautiful, man. That's really beautiful. Was that a difficult process to go through when you started getting into the more of the deeper sound research to realize that, oh man, maybe I don't know kind of like what I thought I knew. Was that quite a difficult collapse of things, or was it quite a smooth transition?
Yes, because it was a bit of the conflict. Well, so first of all, I felt. First thing was that, oh, instead of doing the practice or being a practitioner, because I got offered to become like a practitioner and start the business and the clinic with these tuning forks, but I felt like, no, that's not the right moment. I need to know more, and I felt like that's the beginning, the starting point of studying the subject. And then I was in this conflict because I was in a kind of music business, and you're becoming the sound healer. Like, what? It's too woo, and that was kind of not it wasn't a big problem, but internally I had kind of, because my heart, I just wanted to follow it, but then the rational was, oh, what about that, there's no really like a structure for, at this time, even in 2012, not much was happening, or even though it was happening. But it's difficult when you start something new, like, or you want to change something in your life. So this transition time, so I just let myself to explore and study. Yes, but yeah, it was a bit, yeah, but it led me to so many different directions. It's like I just was opening the doors, like, here, here, I looked here, I looked here. And the second moment, it was actually the beginning of pandemics, that I had this like a big slap, let's say, from the universe, that I realized that okay, working with sound, being a musician, that's one thing. But the second thing was, I realized that I never used my voice as well. That was another, like, a big one. Um, and uh, and yeah, it's strange what I'm saying now, but this led me to another big field of exploring the voice. Also related, this is related to sound and vibration, but you know, so I, because of that, I've created, it led me to create the course on voice as well. So, you know, big, that was very similar to what happened in 2012. So first I realized I don't know, I know nothing about sound and vibration. Then I know nothing about, you know, sound I use every day, you know, my voice. So that was big. That was big. And yes, so there are like those kind of points, like which I felt I was like really shaked, like strongly, like okay, wait a minute, you know. So it also comes to the conclusion that I doesn't matter how much I know nothing. That was this kind of think, you know, pink. little child, what do you know? You know, it's like, yeah, which is great. I'm very grateful for this moment.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, so always the way you know we the more we learn, I find with my experience, the more I learn about something, the more I realize that I don't know, and
Mm.
that's really quite expansive and keeps it like really exciting because it's like limitless. You could pick one field and do a deep dive and spend a lifetime of it and still kind of just scratch the surface of it, and
Exactly.
that is like so exciting. And you know that like there's so many deep mysteries of life, and you know to be learning about how to kind of like delve in and understand more of those mysteries, with the understanding that through the understanding we understand that we don't really understand.
Mm. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's true. That's why I always felt that, you know, I don't need to study in depth one thing, because like you said, you will end up knowing, okay, you can master the skill, but after many years, uh, but there's always more. So it apply this rule applies to any field. And then I realize, okay, why like if I have a like a buffer with all the dishes available, why do I choose just one? I can taste a little bit of that, a little bit of that, and you know, and then um, it's this ratio 20 to 80. So it's this 20 can give you the clue about the 80%. Yeah. So if you just do 20% of something, then you have a, oh, you sometimes it's like a, you know, read the book and it's the summary, can give you great understanding of the book. So you don't need to go through 1,000 pages. Yeah. So I have this kind of approach to life.
Yeah, no, I think that's really effective. I mean, you know, having enough of the concept to be able to make it actionable and work with it in terms of something effective. Like we don't need to know the depths, the extreme depths of things, because often so many approaches just end up with simplicity, and the
Mm.
simplicity really, you know, we
Mm.
go to the depths of complexity so that we can make it simple, and it kind of like
Sure.
feels like from what you're saying about like these great learnings from so many different areas, that you know you've got many strings to the bow and many tools to be able to call upon when those tools are needed, but at the same time, through learning so many different disciplines and so many different ideas and ways of doing things, they've all also, not only do you have like tools to call upon, but they've all also melded together to
Mm.
form like the very unique approach that only you could
Mm.
deliver through the wealth of, you know, learning all of these different disciplines. So yeah, I got a lot of respect for your body of work, mate. I'd love to get into it, like some of the facets, because I know you do so much. So like I'd like to open it by I'd love to ask you about some of the healing practices that you work for helping clients cope with PTSD. I know we spoke about the deep potentiation of the amygdala on our previous call. So yeah,
Right.
love to open up things in that area if you care to share, please, bud.
Sure. So the foundation for this work I based on the technique called havening techniques, which is called also the delta wave therapy or depotentiation of amygdala, and it's kind of based on I would say, very heavy neuroscience, and it's there are many different dots put together there in this technique, and this technique is called the havening. It's a psychosensory technique, which applies sensory input. In this case, it's like a touch. It's like a gentle touch. So there are three areas we use touch. We use touch on the face, here, on the arms and hands. And why those area? Because those area generate the strongest delta wave in the brain. So if you do this, for a while, without thinking, without saying anything, the body starts to relax. It's like a bit like a hugging the child. Yeah. So it just so even just by doing that, this choreography, it just and this touch is also very like there are a few factors. The pressure is important. The tempo is important, because if you do this, it's kind of can generate like it's like a trace of anxiety, because it's like a bit nervous, but just slow down and you find the right tempo. So that's when it starts working, and then when we generate this, that's the one element. Then this delta wave helps us to access this and actually depotentiate this neural pathway and this synaptic connection related to distressed memory or traumatic memory. It's a bit complex. So then during the session, like a therapeutic session, what happens is that we want to first find this triggering event or memory. We can find this memory through investigation, or if there is something the client already knows about particular event or memory, so then it's easier because we just target this memory and we can depotentiate this one. But so it's necessary to kind of trigger this amygdala for very little amount of time, like maybe 30 seconds. In this 30 seconds we are showing the neural pathway, which apparently now they say it takes like, from I don't remember how many, it's like 90 billions neural connections in the brain. So it takes like almost like one which is stuck, and through this triggering, when we trigger the amygdala, then we show this neural pathway, and then we work with this neural pathway. So we then disconnect from this memory, and we go to this section which is called distraction. And then this distraction part, I use a lot of things. So we work with working memory then, and to completely this distraction part plus this depotentiate this neural connection. So this distraction part includes humming, singing. I use laughter yoga, I use like different tasks, counting, a lot of imaginings, and and I found this very effective. But this is like a the foundation, and then around that I use different modalities like clean language, even hypnotherapy, laughter. It's really effective. Yes, that's more or less my kind of toolkit for this work and also one more thing I just looked here, internal family system as well. It's like an element of internal family system, which I found very accurate with this work, to dissociate yourself from from this traumatic memory, let's say. And this is very rapid. This technique is very, very rapid. It doesn't take, it's not like talking therapy. Sometimes takes, like from my experience, knowing like the best people on the world using this technique, they say like, maximum like could be like 6 sessions working on really heavy problems. Paul McKenna, for example, who's a kind of co-founder of this technique, he said that's the solution for post-traumatic stress disorder for him. So it's from my experience, it's really really interesting.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's fascinating because so my understanding is that you're kind of recalling the trigger, the memory that's causing the amygdala to put the system into the chronic fight or flight response, then moving in with like the soothing touch to kind of deliver like I guess the message of safety to the body. Like it's kind of like, would it be fair to say like it's safe now, this is okay, that you can unwind, and then
Yes.
kind of along the right track with it?
Well, so like from the behavioral perspective, well, from the like a trauma perspective, it's the amygdala needs to first encode this memory somehow, because the amygdala is responsible for the relationship and connection with the external world. Amygdala constantly, it's like I can show it's like constantly scanning. I use this example, scanning 24/7. Am I safe or not? Based on the recording of everything she let's say Amy she has from the very beginning. So everything is recorded, and everything, all the input is being compared what we have on the hard drive. If something matches the same sensation about external, and in the past something was in the past dangerous, so the amygdala goes like pah, and it's just red zone, don't go, don't stop. So before this neural pathway get, like, let's say the freeze happens, the amygdala already had to kind of encode this there. But through this touch and all these tricks we use, the safe comes after. So when we detach this neural pathway, we disconnect this from this different, let's say, steps. The amygdala feels finally like can close and relax, and that's what because if she's relaxed, we are relaxed. The body, well, we can potentially be relaxed, being stressed. Yeah, the body is stressed, but if someone is very good in like mindfulness, or overcoming, the working with mind, and this spiritual practice, then we can overcome this for a while. But when you leave it, the body will be stressed, because so when amygdala is stressed, the body is stressed. So we need to, and the amygdala is like a feral cat, it's like, yeah, all the time. So when we work with this, like, I found this fascinating, because it's a symbol of all this, like, this unknown theories about trauma, and it's like so solid that, for example, like if there's a panic attack, or I still explore this subject, but when the amygdala just goes into the red zone, it shuts down all the parts of the brain. Doesn't matter, you say, okay, you just relax. No, if nothing will help, if we don't know how to regulate this amygdala. Yeah. Or I don't know about other modalities. Maybe there's like something there, but from my practice, I see, once we disconnect this, and this is from my, to be honest, like, I'm not saying something it's not the theory for me. I got removed through very old traumatic experience when I was free, and I experienced this myself, what happens, and I saw with the clients, like, what happens when you really hit the nail, like when you find this memory, this hidden memory, or this traumatic experience, and you disconnect this, it's really, really big and strong effect on the body, because it's like suddenly you disconnecting the cable which was plugged in, like with the like electric cable, charged, and it was charging all the time, like no rest all the time, danger, 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 danger. Subconsciously we can suppress this memory to the basement, but it was still charged. When you disconnect this, suddenly it's like something happens to your body. Like, this people sometimes sleep like 14 hours after that. So it's really, really interesting.
That's amazing. I'm really fascinated in this line of therapy, because I see and imagine from the kind of biochemical,
Mm.
biomechanical standpoint about how powerful something like that can be. If it's the root cause of someone's tension, this could be the reason for someone's neck pain or the back pain, and it's
Yes, totally.
so often it's like chronic pain is you know it's not a case of something being muscular. Most of the time with chronic pain is some sort of past trauma that's been dormant or
Mm.
suppressed within the system.
Yes.
So to be able to access that is extremely powerful. Like, one thing I think of, because I recognize certain things and certain triggers within myself, and you know, I'd say that there's a good ability to be able to reason and work out kind of what's happening with the mind, and then quite good kind of reasoning with working things out with the mind, and then moving through things. But I always think it's the reactionary stuff that feels the really challenging things to overcome, because it's just like with the mind, you can reason different thoughts and you can go through a process, but it feels like when there's something reactionary being triggered by the amygdala based off some sort of past trauma, how do you not react within that split second that it wants to trigger yourself? That it wants to trigger itself. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
There's not enough time because it's such a reactionary response based on fear and trauma. So it's just like how. So this therapy is like amazing, like, but like what would your take be on kind of like unwinding that reactionary state?
So, well, yes, you're right. The reaction is unbelievably fast. It takes I'm just I don't remember exactly, but it takes something like 1/3 of the blink of the eye, the time. That's how fast this amygdala communicate with prefrontal cortex, how fast it gets information. So imagine like this is I blink my eye, it's like 1/3 of that. So it's not really, it's almost like a foreseeing what's coming.
Mm.
Looks like it's like almost like this amygdala senses the future or something, like, because that's the, you know, this is very 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 interesting, because that's amygdala's role to it's survival. It's also the fear center. Yeah, so but for the fear, we detect what can happen. We are more, you know, alert. And I found this interesting. Had this situation like when there's a person who was very traumatized, and I didn't expect that, but you know, this person had a very like almost like a psychic abilities. I met few like this, like very hypersensitive people, and this for me was oh, this is the signal. Questions why you're so hypersensitive. Because, for example, if so, that's how amygdala is just so um, um, alert, you know, like so. For example, someone is in pathological family. Someone is growing up, and you know, father is an alcoholic, and um, in order to survive for the child or not get hurt, uh, we need to kind of sense, okay, today I feel something is coming. Yeah. So the father is not even, or mother, whatever, whoever it is not even at home, but we sense that, oh my God, today is gonna. So we already, or we develop different behaviors, or we leave home. And this also, it's a good thing about amygdala. It's a survival detector. You know, it senses. Um, so how now is it? It's a bit of problematic, because if you, for example, if we can be in a safe space, like physically safe, that's the first step to kind of regulate this. We need to be in a safe space, because if we are in a battlefield, we fight, right? But if we can be in the safe space, so and you asked about the reactions, right? About to not react. So even if we react, we have this good news. Let's say we have this. Oh, I have this tool. So you notice the reaction, and then you can apply. It could be completely something different, not necessarily havening, but you know, even if you sit and you have this reaction, and the sooner, from my perspective, the sooner we start act on this reaction, you know, like noticing this reaction and calming down the body first, then it could be, you know, percentage wise, could be already, like once you touch yourself, or like this, okay, calm down, calm down, calm down. Yeah, and already you can kind of decrease this reactional state. But it's also being prepared and practicing what's like to not react, because if we uh, it's this kind of I don't know, maybe it's a moral condition that we have to react to something. But do we have this obligation to react to everything? Is everything you see your business? You know, and how would you feel to not react? Before, like hypothetically, yeah, okay, I'll practice now to imagine. I imagine myself to not react. For example, if I walk and there's a homeless person, and I'm not gonna say even sorry. How do you feel not saying sorry? I'm sorry, I don't have money. You know, so it's already kind of, this is, maybe we can get to it, but it's guilt. So you feel like some kind of sense of guilt behind. So practicing this, you know, preparing yourself, because it will come, this reactional state. The reaction is something we are not, we don't agree what we see. It's kind of friction, you know. So practicing to not react, to be indifferent. I like really. I don't know if you know Marisa. I don't remember. She's a very like famous hypnotherapist. Marisa Lay. I don't remember. Sorry, but she said something very interesting, that indifference for her is love. And I'm not saying to be indifferent. I'm just kind of encourage. I'd like to encourage people, like, try to be indifferent, and like practice just a little bit indifferent. Uh, and it's not being you know, it doesn't mean, you know, I'm not gonna help, I'm cold. Cold is different than indifferent. You know, like you choose to not react no matter what. And practicing this to be kind of ready for this situation. But when we get caught, so then it's like, okay, it's done. So then you can apply, for example, this. And there's like a technique I use, like emptying the tank. So you can say, just imagine, just to see, like if I say calm, I say like I'm calm, peace, and I say, and my body after a while like completely agree with that, because that's what the body is feeling at the moment. But if I say I'm angry, so body gets signal, but where exactly? Where I don't feel you. So you're so angry because there's the different sensory input here. So you cannot go wrong. But what happens is, with this technique, with this approach, when we go to the negative, so I say angry or guilty, I feel guilty, and you just repeat this until doesn't have any until it loses its meaning, and suddenly you can have, oh, fear, I'm fear, I feel fear, and until it gets to another word, and you just like slowly kind of emptying this, and naturally it's coming, what's supposed to be like a leave you now, you know, talking about the negative things, and probably that will be the reason why you react, because you're angry, because you're frustrated, because something was unfair, really. That's why we react. For you, But then, yeah, another question is, for whom, really? Uh, for the ego or for the mind? For the, so it's yes, this takes practice, because it's like, I think it's you cannot avoid it. It's like, that's one of the thing I use even with the like hypnosis, which, by the way, I want to kind of just say a few words. Hypnosis, many people, they are afraid about this word. What's happening?
Can
Yeah,
I just jump in just before we
yeah.
go on to hypnosis, because like all you just shared was like so really deep and profound. Like wow, and like I really love like the expression of we react to something that we don't agree with.
Mm,
That is so deep. Like if you really go into that, and like it makes me think of like highly reactional people. In my observation, tend to be kind of like more in kind of like the place of judgment, and
mm,
more the place of kind of like yeah, like if I look at myself, like I don't react to things as very well, a hell of a lot less now than I did before, as
mm,
correlated with doing like a lot of self work too. And I guess it also comes back to kind of acceptance of life, and acceptance of the challenges that we face and that we go through. Because one thing for myself, and I teach people I work with, is like to look at the nature of by which we are approaching our challenges. Is the challenge something that's been forced upon us, and that is like this really bad thing, and kind of going into that kind of victim mindset, or can
mm,
we use this challenge as an opportunity for growth in some way, or can we see this challenge as an opportunity to actually change something and use it constructively? And I think like through that acceptance, we can become like a lot less reactionary,
mm,
led by I guess you know it's accepting every single facet of life as being perfect, even when it doesn't seem that way, and when things are like going like really badly, and when the different negative things can happen to us and we're in pain. Being able
mm,
to see that actually as part of this grand tapestry that we're in within life, and seeing that actually it's meant to be that way, I'm guessing can uh, potentially deload and help to soothe that reactionary state.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It's I'm not saying that this to agree to everything, because sometimes, okay, like, let's say a situation where we say to your friend, okay, from today I agree to you, because I would like to work on my pain so you can beat me every day, badly, and I will accept that. Or someone, we have some dangerous situations. No, no, then we say no, of course. But it's just this, always I have this in mind, like, okay, if we could see two timelines, let's say, on one timeline, there's an end result, something happened, yeah, and now we go back and we say, okay, this happened to me, and I go back now, and I just I will test something, and in one timeline I say every day to myself, I want to see only beauty, and I just look for beauty every day. I'm not interested in any friction. I look only for the beautiful qualities. So I'm not checking anything online which is not beauty. And it's beautiful art. This, like, I express myself. I start painting. Maybe I start learning new things. Everything which is related to beauty. And we do this 6 months before this even happened. And then if we could see the same timeline, now I'm interested in friction and who's gonna be stronger, and and all the negative information, and I'm really like focused on it. So I watch horror movies, all stuff, TV. I go, anyway, you know what I mean. And then I would like to see the result. Would would then this situation happen if I only focus on beauty? Maybe, but the same thing, when I observed the whole pandemic, um, my question was, okay, how many people were focused on beauty or on peace only? It's like a obsession, being obsessed about peace. How many people were obsessed about peace? Which means starts from you. You need to be at peace first. Instead of that, that was like but there's no one to blame for that, because it's such a difficult, it's like a battlefield. We were all in the battlefield, but just hypothetically, imagine the whole pandemic, people were just interested in beauty. What would be the end result? Like the whole earth. I would like to see that, you know? Is the focus. Where's my focus? And the question is then, would you have having this in like as your interest, really, the value, the highest value, being at peace and beauty and harmony and balance. In harmony and in music, you also have an like a let's say dirty harmonic solutions or chords, but it's still music, and it's still okay playing this, like difficult harmonic structures, and you don't have a guilt as a musician playing those bad notes. You just play live. It's a beautiful still, but the beauty is still there regardless what you play. So this attitude, I'm not, so yeah, I'm just putting this question because that would be probably critical mass would be different, and there would be completely different result. If we keep going like 2 years like that.
That's beautiful and inspiring. Like, wow, what a good question to pose. And yeah, especially like all stress is based off of our perception ultimately. So that lens through which we view the world. So if we can ask ourselves the powerful question of what does it look like to choose to see beauty, what is that going to do to your internal state after a period of time? Like, it's like really, really profound. And unfortunately, if we look at the pandemic, I mean, my observation was that unfortunately, for whatever reason, a lot of people were, I feel like, hijacked in many ways. The amygdala was hijacked, like left, right, and center. I remember telling my family, like, don't watch the news, because it was like, wow, like it was really, really intense for quite a long time in terms of what was being broadcast, and kind of mass hysteria and mass fear was like really like wow to watch. And and sometimes getting caught up in it yourself, because it's like very, very difficult not to when the whole world is in this hype. You can be strong in yourself, but still there's going to be a transference of that energy of some regard. And I think a lot of people I knew were quite conscious of that, and were able to kind of stay quite grounded within themselves. But due to different perspectives and different perceptions, as well as different practices to stay grounded, like grounded in spiritual practices, for instance. But so much of the world just wouldn't have had that filter, because it's just like when you're in when you're in stress and the world's falling around down around you, you're going to go into that place of reaction. And
Yeah.
I would, I've thought throughout all of that, like, damn, like what is the cumulative effect on people's health during that whole time? And still, we're still in the aftermath now. I feel really sorry for the kids, especially, the
Yeah.
developing brain, to be surrounded by that for the past few years, and what that will have done, that the isolation, the fear, and especially to like the younger kids, well, all kids during it, not to differentiate between any area of kids. All kids suffered, and the
Yeah.
entire suffered, but to like a 2 or a 3-year-old to be absorbing all of that stress and all of that uncertainty, what that must have done, slash is still doing to a child's developing brain and their stress response and their amygdala responses. So I think, well, we're already seeing like an epidemic in terms of mental health challenges. Whether that's because things are getting worse or because people are talking more about it is a topic in of itself to discuss, because I think when things look like they're getting worse, at the same time, there's an element of more awareness and more people talking about it, which is a good thing. So it kind of looks like it's getting worse, but actually as part of the process. But at the same time, the aftermath of the pandemic, I think we are already experiencing a surge in mental health challenges, and that will continue to unfold for many years to come. So, but based on that, I'd love to just ask you a question of your opinion on what the kind of effects of trauma are to the developing child, the developing brain, and what when some trauma, like some traumatic events or series of traumatic events, is deeply embedded in a child from from a young age, how can you start to work with this if they are like extremely in a really difficult place due to some sort of childhood trauma or abuse?
Yeah, this one is a tricky one. I'm not an expert on like working with children, but the numbers are really shocking. If I remember correctly, at the beginning of pandemic, 800% the domestic violence raised.
Jesus.
Yeah. This will, according to Dr. Ruden, the founder of the Havening techniques, he said that the pandemic, because it was like a global traumatization, the effect will last like 100 years. If I quote him correctly, but it was something like that, because we don't see we just need to kind of imagine this, like be really open, imagining the scale, and especially for children. I know, for example, my brother has three kids. So yeah, so it's really the thing is that this trauma, when it's encoded, so we need 4 factors. So we need this landscape, event, meaning, and inescapability factor. So when those 4 factors meet, then amygdala classified this as a traumatic experience. So then there's run, but there's no way to escape. So there's nowhere to escape. And now, if we have, let's say, situation, there are 2 people in the room, and there's a tiger in the room. One person is a hunter and knows and has a weapon, has tools to kill the tiger. So potentially he will survive. The person who doesn't know anything, how I work, how to run, where is the escape, they will freeze. That's it. And For me, the solution would be to educate parents about this subject, for example, because once you know what are the factors, then you can scan your environment. I'm talking about, let's say, the parents who don't abuse their children, right? Like more or less like a not really aware, not really into it, but really like they care about their children, and so simple education. So let's say, okay, where this potential situation could happen in my family, you know, when the child could be in this traumatic situation, or so once we know that, then you ask, okay, so what's the solution? So what do I need to do to help? But my question is, how many parents ask this question? You know, maybe many, but many don't even think about this. Then how do you know things you don't know?
Mm.
You know, so that's the thing. So once I think the education in this case is very important, because the solution is not difficult, that difficult, you know, depending on because it's very broad, but once we know that something happened, then we can do something about this. If we don't know, we don't know. So there's nothing happened. So first to face that something happened, and then the question is, next question. There's this saying that the quality of your life depends on the questions you ask,
Mm.
and asking right questions will always give you an answer. You will find, even if there will be like 20%, 50% of improvement, that's almost already a lot, because when this traumatization happens, the whole life is determined uh, by this event. So whatever um, you know, to understand is this. So, for example, the process would be, amygdala is asking. Let's say this is raining. Yeah, it's raining, and the body looks and, oh, it's raining, and there's a feeling, oh, I don't like rain. But amygdala is, let's say, asking to the prefrontal cortex. Okay, so what else do we know about rain? Uh, ah, the rainbow is happening after the when it's raining sometimes. Okay, so the feed goes back to amygdala. Okay, the rainbow. Oh, what else? Ah, there was a rainbow when I was 5, and I was alone in the forest. And what else we know? And then I met this person in the forest. And you know where I'm going? Bach.
Mm.
Forest, rainbow, rain is dangerous. The man, the stranger is dangerous. Everything is dangerous. So that's why then, for example, during the session, let's say if someone is in like a hypnotic state environment, you know, you say, and now you can go to the forest where ever there's like you know, beautiful weather, and there's a rainbow. And what you do, you trigger the trauma, and you re-traumatize this person.
Mm.
You know, so you never know. It's like, and you know, it's like such a there's like a lot of this kind of situation, but that's how we need to know the relationship, how things are related. So you know, the simple forest can be, or woods could be really dangerous,
Mm.
and for some reason you will not choose to go camping. You will not never choose to swim in the lake, and you don't know why, but you know. And this amygdala, she has everything recorded,
Mm.
and will not allow you because her role is to survive. We cannot uh, we cannot make this happen again.
Mm.
You know. So it's a very complex thing, but at the same time, it's not that complex to understand this. And then when you have a child, to observe, you know, and okay, that was the moment, for example, something could happen.
Mm.
Yeah. And then, okay, so how we can, who can know, or how I can find out more about this? And we have now artificial intelligence, YouTube, Google, anything is there. Like everything, all the answers are there, which can lead you to help to be helped. But I would say, summarizing, education, knowledge. Knowledge is not believing. Believing is not enough, because maybe if I believe in something, then maybe it's true, maybe not. So thanks God, because then I don't need to explore it.
Mm.
It's laziness at the end. You know, it's like a chains of different. Yeah, it's so tricky. Need to be suspicious with everything. To just, you know, looking for the truth. The way for me is to be suspicious. Well, is that asking question? Is that really true? Or is that who is saying this? Well, how do you know? This actually is one of the thing, the attitude I learned, and I've been like that all the time. But I found out that this term polymath came, well, not came from Leonardo da Vinci, but there was similar. It's a similar approach, asking these questions all the time. Oh, why the sky is blue? Why the bird is flying? How? What's the mechanics? And you know, you just ask a simple question like a child, and then it's always leads you to find out, and to knowledge, because at some point some things you cannot try yourself, but it's enough to know, to to have enough information, which is, this information is kind of feels true to you, resonates with you. So you just kind of, it's a kind of knowledge, the base, the knowledge base you have. Yeah, it's a, yeah, well, anyway.
Yeah, no, I can completely agree. Completely resonates, and I think that if knowledge is power, then self-knowledge is self-empowerment.
Mm,
Uh,
totally.
is
Mm,
often, you know, I think completely essential for any kind of healing journey to learn about oneself. And one could say that the path of healing is the path of learning about oneself in of itself. Um, we touched a couple of times on your hypnotherapy, so I'd love to ask, like, how do you integrate your hypnotherapy practice and use that to help facilitate
mm.
someone's healing process, Sabio?
So hypnotherapy, I start from the way I understand, or what the term means. Hypnotherapy, it means hypognosis. Hyper, which is under or suppressed, and gnosis means knowledge. So if you recall this image, like we have the ice under the water, iceberg, you know, like the mountain, this famous in psychology. The ice, this top above the water is actually not knowing. It's a battlefield, and this is And I use really so just to put this in the perspective, the knowledge, which is subconscious, superconscious level, is underwater. It's covered, but it's not mystery, but it's just the knowledge. It's like a library. And top is the space, the frequency range where this library cannot be accessed. You know, so this is might be many people might not agree with that, but I studying vibration, it makes sense. And now vibration is also in the brain waves, and the brain waves allow us to explore different, let's say, environments. So we all know, like, let's say, Silva method, like there are different methods, the binaural beats. Why do we want to change the brain waves? Why do we feel something like or completely different states if we actually let's say arrive in this specific frequency range? And and how we do it, we want to change this brain pattern, brain wave pattern, that the brain is operating slower. And what the brain waves do, they slow down everything. So my explanation, how I use it, it's super simple. The aim is to stop vibrating. It's completely different than, well, not completely to everything, but everyone wants to rise vibration. I say, no, we stop vibrate. Zero, nada, 0 point. And there's a space then where things, which the idea that something is impossible doesn't exist. The silence, in silence, there's no idea, there are no ideas. There's no words, no feelings even. It's knowing. It's no, there's no process. But we kind of so this is the aim, right? So we slow down the brain waves, going through alpha, sorry, beta. So then we have gamma brain waves. One of the thing about this different frequencies, they are more than the science in general use, because there are things like under frequencies, undertones. There are different things which you need to really go deep into this to find out. But it's not like, if you learn about brain waves, and so you will just find this easily. Right questions, yeah. Is there anything else than the alpha, beta, alpha, theta, delta? That's what the common, the mainstream has. Of course there is. Epsilon, gamma is higher now than beta, and the beta is here. We are in this beta state now, let's say. So this is like a everyday walking state, which I call battlefield, basically. So here, really, we are like from my perspective, a bit like a children guessing. Oh, my father or my mother told me something about this, and I'm repeating. No, but my father told me that this is completely different, what you are talking about. And we are exchanging this, but because of this, here is almost, for me, you cannot really find the truth, because it's so distorted. We imagine like you are in a like a fighting mode on the, with the sword, and you need to and I'm asking, oh, would you like to have a coffee? And let me think. No, you fighting, yeah, you need to go to work, you need to get the train, you need to, you know, navigate through the day, in the office. It's all the time, like you don't have, you don't even see yourself. uh, so then, if we drop the brain waves like to alpha, it's this state like, okay, when we say, okay, so relax, okay, so I have 5 minutes, okay, so just close my eyes. You know, it's just like entering the state which I called what if, where, oh, what if I can actually stay 1 minute more? Oh, okay. It's just like, oh, actually, I can. And what if, and it's this what if? So it's the possibilities now. We open. It's not this is this chair or that chair. It's here in this state of what if, the alpha, let's say, which is like, oh, it could be this chair, it could be that chair. What if, you know, I can change this in my mind? So we have this possibilities. So then we drop to, let's say, theta brainwaves. We slow even more, and then it's this is called like a hypnotic state. But then delta. Delta is like at the deepest sleep, where all the, you know, when we have the REM phase, when the sleep space phase. So that's where the delta, where we there's a point that the body is literally like dead. It's not moving. I tested it with some. I did some experiments. It's unbelievable. It's the very short time, but it's like really like a wood. And then there's less. It's under that. It's even, you know, we are talking from 0 to 0.4 hertz, but the knowledge is the really like. The deep knowledge is there. It's between this little gap, from my perspective. Or if it's not, I'm just giving the idea to look for knowledge, for knowing there. And so that's where, when I do the session, that's where we go. We go for knowledge. We're not going for unknown or scary things. But you know, the thing is, everything is covered there. It's a basement of books, and you can find any book about yourself. And this is sometimes hard to swallow, but because, you know, if you want to know about yourself, so we built of both, you know, so we can find out many things about, just say many things about ourselves there. So I do the regressive hypnotherapy, and it's not about, the aim is not to find out who I was in the past life. This came, if it's necessary, we can explore that, but for me it's a bit like a rabbit hole. You know, you can explore this forever and you will find more and more. This practice is to see what is now, what's happening now, here and now, in this timeline. You know, so what happens in different circles of awareness of us, you know. But we need to be in this specific state to be able to explore it. It's interesting because when I started doing this, I also work as a on the other side, so I'm under hypnosis, and I explore, you know, this levels of awareness, and it's like game changer, really. Yeah, but that's completely different to you know, to other things I do, but it's like my really in big interest. to dive deep there and explore this levels. Yeah, it's a bit like an Inception film Inception. You just go like check. Yeah.
That's really amazing, bud. What really rises up for me is the how many doors there are in the mind, and how many doors that we don't realize are there, and how much information is there, and how much we can potentially access. You know, every single memory and every single experience we've gone through is logged somewhere in the brain, but it's just like the conscious mind maybe doesn't have the processing power or the availability to see that there is a door to access certain things to necessarily call different memories back at will. And some people who do have those kinds of doors open, and have this photographic memory where they can literally tap into any point
Yeah.
in their lives and recall. So yeah, it's just like it's just amazing what's there, the depth of the mind.
Would like to add some just something is coming. So imagine, because the amygdala, again, going back to amygdala, it's a very good example. The amygdala is in the brain, but I kind of discovered that there's the cosmic amygdala of you. That's where this regressive hypnosis is all about. It's the because everything comes from the mind, ideas, concepts. Try to do anything without thinking. And now sometimes it looks like I sometimes teach the dancers about this. Like, okay, the memory of the body. It looks like it's automatic movement. Yes, protect yourself or whatever it is. Automatic movement. You take a cup, you drink, or you don't look. You grab the handle and open the door. Yes, it's like a kind of memory. But also, if we consider that this amygdala is like 1/3, if it's correct, 1/3 of the blink of an eye, and calculation, calibration of the body. Like if you even walk, it's a miracle. Like how many things, muscles adjusting, balance, dude, this happens. So this is already very complex. But then the idea, if we have this amygdala, like a, let's say, center which is responsible for survival, so is it possible that in our mind there's also some kind of center which is responsible for survival of the mind, or let's say ego? Yeah. So that's another. So, and I found this very interesting. This is like it's not concept for me, but it could be like a concept for the people, that there is this cosmic amygdala, and that's where you can work on this level, on the mind level, which, for example, mindfulness is already like, is already kind of way to work on it, on the mind level. Yes. And yeah, so just wanted to add this, that there's also concept of this survival center, the fear center in the mind. So what if now we can access this and and harmonize this, that the mind can feel safe. And if the mind feels safe, then what would be an effect on the body and the physical amygdala? Because it's like, okay, this one thing is the physical, the animal part of us, and there's another part, the animator of the body. So this animator has, like, from my perspective, it has to have this also the center, the survivor center, protector, you know.
Mm, mm.
It's just like a I'm just putting this like thing, little seed, but hmm.
Yeah, I guess part of the ego's prerogative is not to be broken down because
Mm,
the ego is broadly speaking based in our protection, our survival. It doesn't like uncomfortable situations. It wants the easy life, whereas like the soul is often in juxtaposition because the soul wants growth and understands,
mm,
growth often can come through pain, and therefore
mm,
attracts the painful situations towards it in terms of the person's life experience. And in there's a really nice quote that I like that they say that spirituality is a death sentence to the ego. And
mm,
as we go through the spiritual process, in terms of like letting go and moving through the different patterns, this is why
mm,
you know deep personal development work or spiritual work can be so difficult, because it is the process of the ego breaking down, where the ego wants to protect itself.
mm. Right. I heard this quote 2 days ago. Healing is easy. Try healing. You can snap the, you can destroy something in 2 minutes, in 1 second. But try to heal it. It's a good one. Yeah. Because it takes work. It's such a work. Healing.
One path is a lot more rewarding than the other.
Mm, mm, mm.
I'd like to. It's been an amazing conversation. Like, wow, I kind of could talk to you for hours around this. So I feel to switch gears though, and I want to ask you about your work as an end of life doula.
Mm,
So for me, this is like very fascinating in terms of helping people transition. So
mm.
the death process is an incredibly deep and incredibly moving one. So how do you help the person transition, and what kinds of things does being an end of life doula involve?
Right. Well, this one is, I felt such a calling to become a qualified the end of life doula, and this happened. The calling started like many years ago, but I actually became certified like 2 years ago, or a year ago, no, 1.5 year ago. So relatively, mm, yeah, it was just now, and but this practice, I think you cannot go deeper here on in this reality, in this 3D matrix, let's say, with because that's the end, yeah, of this game.
Mm,
And so first, what the doula is like a kind of helping the person, and also the family, guiding, like helping to kind of go through this process as smooth as possible and as safe as possible for the family members and for the person. And of course the person is the most important in this case, who's in a process of transitioning. And there are a few things I can share, which was like a really got me. So the first thing is, the first thing is that this kind of realization from different doulas all around the world, that we say like 5 minutes before we die, we live, like everyone becomes aware about the soul, about you. And you know, for most of the people, this is this very scary moment, because they are becoming aware about something they don't know, but it's them. Yeah? So they don't know what they might think, like, oh my God, this is God itself, or angel, because the feeling is so overwhelming. But it's just our own soul. It's us. It's the driver of the body. Yeah. And we are not recognizing ourselves. Why? Because we never ask the questions, like in general. Yes. Who am I? And is there anything, like, who's driving this body? Who is the driver? So this one thing, it's like, for me, it's this uh, I would say it's like a desire to inform about this kind of different, like a few information about this. Like, for example, okay, before we go, we become aware who we are. The next thing is to not scare anyone, but for if we are scared of ourselves in this moment, it's too late. It's like the same. It's a bit too late. I mean, it is not too late, but I need to be really now careful what I'm saying, and because it is and it's not as well. Depends who is going through the process. Depends on the belief system, but once we face this, then why I said it's too late, because we can deny ourselves. It's possible that we can just get scared about ourselves, or mistaken ourselves for something else. And what I feel, I would like to kind of get to the point to to make the person familiar with itself, that that we are not afraid to go through this process, to just be prepared. It's literally, it's very this is something we cannot avoid. Yes, we will not avoid that. There's something for sure, the most certain thing, that it's at some point we will have to leave. So why not to before we can, why not to explore this a little bit, like in different cultures, ancient times, it was normal. The children got involved in the subject. There was not, that was normal thing to talk about this, especially something you cannot avoid. So it's very wise to prepare yourself. I'm not saying to think about this whole, like, every day through the whole life, but get the knowledge, prepare everything, and then go around and live your life, and just unless we know how to react. And the same thing is with everything, with let's say, going back to pandemic. Yes, no one was prepared for that. Not no, we, but if we practice this, okay, so if this thing is happening, how I can now treat the flu, or whatever symptoms, what I can have, what is alternative, what are the alternatives, alternative ways, what to do. So we at least know it's a little training, and then you go, you go back to your life. So with doula, for example, what I would like to really stress, there's this thing like the end of life, what is there's a document, advanced care plan. One of the role of the doula is to introduce this to the person and the family, because we can save so much problems when this situation, when the moment comes. So what this plan includes, for example, all the will, the agreements, all the documents, if it's possible, because sometimes obviously it's not possible. But what I want to say, preparation, it's really important, because if we don't write down something, our will, then it will be decided for us. Do you know that, for example, if you don't sign out this document which says that when in the UK, when person dies, then the body belongs straight away. They can take your body without your permission to do to use your organs. It's a default. You need to sign out. It's without your, so even after death, your body is not safe if you will not sign out from this agreement. So this kind of things, they're like some tricks, and if your will is not in the paper, then they will decide for you. For example, if you cannot, if the body functions are not working, if the body is not working, and they sustain you, they will have to sustain you according to law until you die. So basically, it can last for very long time. But if you say, I don't want to be, I don't want to sustain my life in these conditions, if I cannot do this or that, then I want to be, I want to be, I want to go. And they have these documents, so they will respect that. Because that's the thing, is just, so that's the kind of very like important pragmatic thing, and there are many of them during the process. But there's a lot of flexibility in this work as well. What I did after I decided to work with grief, and because I thought, okay, this work, this, like, because of other things I do, I want to be flexible, and if I sign the contract with the client, then I have to be almost like a, available all the time, or for some period of time. So I prefer to just have this flexibility and work with, online, or work with grief, and help and help family, and just to understand the grief better. And I felt like that's because of the havening as well, which is amazing in this case as well, because it's like a I can kind of depotentiate this grief kind of, so it's very helpful. Yes, so that's, I decided to work this way, but recently I will see, I'm looking for the hospice to do some work in this environment as well. So now I'm getting more into it, and yeah, because this subject is coming to me like a boomerang. You know, it's crazy. All like the last three artistic projects where when I wrote the music for is all about death and grief. So I do some kind of, you know, work introducing the doula work, the concept. You know, the biggest problem with doula is the death doula, the end of life doula, is that uh, people don't know first this kind of thing exists.
Mm.
You know, people really don't know. It's like slowly picks up. Like 2 years ago, there were only 500 the end of certified the end of life doulas in the UK. You
Mm.
know, so we I think also uh, talking about this, introducing this subject, you know, this is something important. I think it's even more important now at this stage than, you know, like to do this this work for me, uh, because, you know, the kind of rising the awareness about this subject. Yeah, so that's more or less. Maybe sorry, it was a bit kind of messy my answer, but mm, because it's hard, it's difficult, you know. It's a not easy subject to talk
Mm.
even. Mm.
No, not at all. Like, thank you for the articulation. It's very comprehensive, and yeah, it's just, yeah, it's the first time I've heard of like the practice end of life doula, and I agree it should hopefully be um,
Mm.
much more in the fore in the future. I'm hoping, because you know what you're saying about helping that soul transition and the realization just in that final moment, and you know it kind of calls up our beliefs around death, kind of influence massively how we live our lives.
Mm.
And you know, as we were talking about the pandemic earlier, I mean, really, you know, you could say that a lot of the fear was could be traced back to like it was a fear of death ultimately, and so many of our fears ultimately can be traced back to that fear of dying, passing away. And I think we've got like a really huge collective shadow when it comes to death. People don't
Mm.
want to look at it, and it's really interesting. I had really interesting experience a few years ago in Mexico. I was cycling through Mexico and got to the end of the day. I was looking for somewhere to stay, and I saw a cemetery, and I went and slept in the cemetery, kind of
Mhm.
behind the mausoleum. And I slept in the cemetery because when I went in there, I was like, this is feels like a really wholesome place. It was like everything's white. There's like the Mexicans kind of put like beers,
Mm.
like bottles of beer on their loved ones' graves. There's candles going. You know, it's this regularly attended cemetery.
Mhm.
And I had the best night's sleep of my entire trip. I slept so deeply in that
Wow.
cemetery. It was like wow,
Mm.
like seriously, I a really great night's sleep. And you know, I then look at like the culture's belief around death, and you know, it's totally different to how our belief here in the UK say. Um, it's like we're within the kind of Latin American culture, the people are very much still there as long as you still honor their memory.
Mm.
So even though the person physically isn't here, they're still here.
Yeah.
And whereas like within you know, I wouldn't necessarily want to sleep in the typical UK graveyard, because this is like quite like a spooky place, and you know it's
Mm.
kind of
Mm.
oh death, don't look at that. And it's
Yeah.
just, is it a spooky place because it's a spooky place, or is it a spooky place because of our projection of death as a culture?
Mm.
uh,
Mm.
I think it's a huge, yeah, like shadow element. So whereas then there's other beliefs from other cultures, like the Hindu belief of reincarnation, that the soul is an eternal being that never actually dies.
Right.
How like my thinking on the death and our beliefs around death and how it influences our life is that if one was to believe that actually, you know, we go on to somewhere else, some other plane, and then maybe come back, or maybe don't come back, but we still exist on some level, maybe from the level of the soul, and that we never truly die. This can potentially massively affect how we live and deload a lot of that pressure and a lot of tension.
Right.
And ironically, maybe mean that you live longer because of a life's accumulation of tensions. Whereas if you know, with the an opposing belief that, you know, I'm 6 feet under, or even worse, maybe I'm going to be damned and go to hell. You know, like that's not to kind of like judge that belief system, but you know, I do see that, you know, there's kind of belief that we'll go to hell potentially when we die if we don't live in a good way when we're here on earth. God, the amount of tension that it can create in a person, you know, and then that tension over a lifetime may actually shorten that lifetime. So yeah, like my question is like, how with kind of like all of these different belief systems from different cultures and the way different people look at death, what would your thoughts be around how our belief systems around death influence how we live?
Belief systems. Well, I have a bit of well, not a problem, but I'm trying to not use this word, belief. When you write belief, the way you write is be-lie. It's not lie. It's not the lie. But in English, yeah. But instead of it's like the end of the road. This belief for many people, you know, the belief, like everyone is repeating, I believe it's true. What we're saying, we're saying I think, or maybe it's true, because we don't know. Yes. Is so belief, it's like a kind of hope there. It could be true, and it's very dualistic word for me, but it's a very necessary in order to go to next level, to know, to know. So what do we know comparing to what we believe is little. I know I have a hand. I don't need to believe I have a hand. I know I have a computer, I have a whatever, yes, only in front of me, because if you ask me, do you know you have a car on this, is your car still on the street? I don't know. I believe it's there. So that's the first thing. So this already makes you feel you don't know what's going on, you know. So this belief, the belief, I would like to aim for, I would like to know, and the know is now. What's now? What is the real image ready? And this is like hard to swallow also, because we see the if the real image is only what I see now, that is very depressing sometimes. Because, you know, the graphic of what do you see, it's not that interesting. So so now the belief systems are based on beliefs, so based on history, on the stories, on the past. You know, there's another thing. There's apparently half of the second of delay what I think I see. So first, because the brain needs to kind of calculate the signal, and it takes like half of the second or something like this. It's quite interesting. So it's already past. So whatever I see, it's past. So then I believe this is true. I need to assume it's all based on assumption.
Mm.
I think, yes, I think I see. Like Ramdas said, I loved what he said, you think what he said, I think I am this. I think I think. So it's always like a not, where's the certainty? But the sooner we start bringing this concept of I can know, and what is knowing, when I actually get let's say, when I experience something, then I know. If I know what is the taste of the coffee, no one's gonna tell me like it's not true that what you're saying. No, for me it is this and this. So this is like, you don't argue with this. So so it's very easy to manipulate and is based on hope, kind of belief. So for me it's really well, I feel like, I don't want to say I feel sad, but it's a bit like a shame. Why don't you want to know? you know and then based on this belief that there's a conviction, general kind of conviction that the belief is axiom, it's the truth. So that's the problem here. So you can model anything with that, and it's just and then it's super open. Like you can model you can convince someone about anything, so this is really like applying the illusion, the manipulation, but this belief leads, I don't think that anything has a negative connotation, because well, or is negative, because if we look in the spectrum of 100 years, we don't know what can arrive from for example, some like a yoga masters. They would say this yoga in the West has nothing to do with the real yoga, and da da da. But at the same time, we have in the city of London, we have people, business people. They go to yoga. They start to they are being introduced to this concept, and maybe some of them will show their children the yoga, and slowly, in 100 years, they might be those real yogis, their children can be. But without this belief that I need to, the belief is, okay, I need to do something with my body because I need to look good. Okay, I'm going to yoga, or, whatever. And this is the trick. Then from yoga, because this intelligence of the universe is just beyond the way it works. From my perspective, is just, it's really, we need to admit, like, oh, like, yeah, I'm like a little child, and it's like, yes, no point to, because it goes somewhere. Yes, we are observing that it is going somewhere. So yes, but if we look this fraction of the like if we take a little time frame, it looks the belief system, it looks like manipulation, or looks like something. And it's interesting why I'm saying why I'm saying that. I didn't mean to say go this way, that to justify the belief being against the belief. But it just came to me that it's not, it what is coming there's in ancient Tao tradition, there's this story, beautiful story, that's about the tree and the poet. And the story says, okay, you're looking at there's a tree, beautiful big tree, and the tree is the tree. The tree is the tree. And then we see the fox spirit, which they call it like a fox spirit, the poet, is coming, sitting next to the tree, looks at the tree and starts writing, and it's like, okay, this is tree. The tree has leaves, and there's a wind the wind is moving the branches, and there's a sun, and start to write the poetry. But the moment he wrote the first thing, he named the tree, then there's the tree is not the tree anymore. So you see, like we can choose, okay, now I'm gonna write the poetry, and I will write the poetry about belief systems, everything, what is happening, deliberating about what's right, what not, but the things are the way they are anyway, without, sometimes, and then sometimes better, like, okay, what I like to do, what is my, my thing, what to do, instead of thinking about what something can mean, so it is so many layers. I don't know if I answered your question, but I just have so many layers of understanding. Depends from which angle you look. Something can be good, something bad, something can be bad because of this time frame, but long term, yes, good. And so it's but that's what it is, really. Like, this is the characteristics of the vibrational reality, which is vibrating all the time. There's no stillness here, because that's how things work, and it's like a river. So the most certain thing is the change, you know it's hard to accept this, but we can disagree, but it's the same. It's the tree is the tree. Doesn't matter how much we disagree. you know Hmm. So so I don't know. I think I got lost in these beliefs, but phew. Interesting.
That raises a lot. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah, gives a different perspective on things. Yeah, it's just what is.
Mm. Mm. It is, yeah, it's true.
So I want to move towards penultimate question before we close, and I'd love to ask what kinds of conversations are open up with a person in the end stages of life. So what are the important things that a person wants to express when it starts to come towards the end?
Mm. I would say it all depends on the awareness, because these questions will be completely different. So the stages of this, like if I had to put in perspective, so we can have a person who is unconscious, being unconscious. Then we might have a level or person who is conscious being unconscious. Then we have a person who is conscious being conscious. And then the person who becomes who is aware being conscious, and aware being aware. And the consciousness, for how I understand this, it's this the I kind of consciousness. Awareness is over conscious. That's what it means I think in Greek or Latin, overconscious. So it's like an egg kind of structure. So now if we have this person who is really like a, let's say, like, yeah, like majority of the society, you know, where the family is important, you know, there's so many different situations, but you know, these people really, I think they will first want people, but I'm guessing really this is very, you know, I'm just trying to feel it, but I think very important is that they leave those who are behind, they are safe, the things are finished, like a close, that they can have a feeling that they close everything. There's nothing left, you know, they can, because it's at the end, what is important is the peace during this process. And I would say that this is the most important thing, you know, because I can put in perspective in certain traditions. There's the whole knowledge about what to do during this time. So, for example, they say you cannot use sounds, or because this person will hear you, and it's a distraction for the smooth departure. Yeah. So any sound, understanding, for example, that crying, like a deep, this, you know, I want this person to be back. It's about us. We have no idea, you know, how strong this emotions are, and we are just holding this person back. For example, in the situation where there's a lot of times, like imagine, you know, there's a family member, we see the very difficult illness at the end of life, let's say, and we know we really want to let this person go, and we have a family members, yeah, and they also say, yes, we really understand, we see the suffering, but in order to live, you need energy. We need energy. When we have these hooks, that if, you know, if the whole family, the whole family symbolically needs to give the energy, all the connections back to the person, if they really want this person to go. If there is okay, I really rationally think, feel and wish for this person to go, but I really don't want to, because I will be alone. It's about me. So you know, for this, if you imagine, if you just imagine, like, okay, you are about to go, uh, well, I just have this feeling, like, you know, this all should be about you. I'm going, I'm leaving. It's not about me. Oh my God. So I'm gonna be alone. Those who stay here. But this person is leaving, you know. This is the big unknown, maybe, or uncertainty, fear, and you know, and we are, you see, like how naturally, we don't even think. If we are not aware being aware, or even conscious being conscious, then we will, it's like a reaction, going back to the beginning, reaction that you, oh, it's me, I'm abandoned, I'm my grief, my suffering is literally holding this person, and we should give this space for this person to leave. And then, really, like this silence, and when it's done, then it's okay also to do this. It's a natural thing at the same time, but it's really this piece from my perspective, how I feel, how I investigate this. And yes, so different people will have a different regrets. For example, even the will be a lot of regrets. For example, situations where there was an argument many years back with family member, and this is not sorted. This is big. In this moment, it's a big one. Yeah. So if I'm this person is not leaving this relationship with peace. So but it's so like for everyone will be different. um so it's such a I don't know, it is such a rich subject, because from my perspective, I will have to let's say assess it individual, like looking at an individual situation. So because then I have like a frame straight away, and I can sense what is important, or what is the need of this person. Some people would really want to say, I forgive you, or I love you, or hear even I love you from family members. But the tragedy is, one of the thing is just unbelievable. Like, this moment is the moment of truth. Who is who in the family? Many times that, like, this puts me off, because I know how many people are the moment they find out that someone is about to leave or transition, their fight starts, because because of the some material things, money usually. Yeah. And this is really this is such a sad thing. And the many times the person who is dying, he needs to witness this.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah.
Can you imagine? Like, what kind of level of self-awareness is that, to create this situation in front of this person who is actually the biggest, well, it's the most natural thing, but at the same, it's a big tragedy. So yeah. Many hidden layers is there.
Oh, brother, thank you so much. This is fascinating. There's so much more I want
It is, yeah, but
and just so rich, as you say. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
mm. Thank you for having me. I hope I wasn't too uh, I could explain myself better, because also English is not my first language, and sometimes it's just, but yes, but I did my best.
This was an incredible couple of hours. Like, thank you so much for your time.
Mm.
I do have one more question for you, and it's the question I like to ask each guest that comes on. So, Phoenix Vision is dedicated to creating a transformative vision of health for its listeners. So, what does transformation mean to you, and what would you like to transform in the future?
For myself, for myself.
Well,
Oh,
and anything like
okay.
what does transformation mean for you? What's your interpretation, and what would you like to transform in the future?
Okay, so for me, transformation is like a changing the state. The state, being in a state. Yes, so I would like to, for myself, if I have to say, I would like to be in a state of truth, be in a state of wellness and harmony.
Mm,
And I would like to transform to this state where I can sustain it, like it's a default, like it is. One more thing I would like to add, because you mentioned this fear. Have you ever thought that about what is the root of fear?
mm,
And you actually said that you said about fear of death, but I would say this is like it's step further. The fear, there's only one, and all the fears, little fears, all the fears in life goes to one, about fear of losing the body.
mm,
It's not about death, it's about losing the body. So I'd like to transform to embody this state, to not fear that, because there's nothing else, anything or anyone can do to me if I'm not fearful to lose this body.
mm.
And you know what the person who is not afraid to lose the body can do? Can you imagine in the battle, the army like that?
Mm, mm,
Hmm.
unstoppable.
Yeah. So that's what I want to, what I would like to transform. This, fully embody the state of not being afraid to lose the body.
Mm. Wow,
Mm.
that's profound.
Mm.
But thank you, brother.
Mm. Pleasure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, bud. So, how can people find out more about you? Any links or any events maybe that you've got coming up as well that people can get involved in?
Yes, well, so I can leave, the main website is masteringharmony.com, and like all the things I do more or less are there. So there's also this clinic, space psychosensory clinic. It's like an online kind of practice at the moment, and event, I can, well, the event, I think I have one called Beyond Vibration. It's like a few hours workshop with friend of mine, and we are doing this in London on the 22nd of April. But I can, if it's okay, I can then send you the links, and yeah.
Please do. Yeah, I'll put it in the notes.
Cool.
All right, Sabio, like, wow. Thank you so much for your time, brother. This has been a
Pleasure.
fascinating couple of hours. Like, really enjoyed this. Like, I think every single concept we spoke about and that you shared, like, we could just go deeper and deeper.
Mm. Yes. Yeah, you can.
So thank you, brother. Appreciate you and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Same. Yes, and see you soon.
Yeah, look forward to it, mate. Look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.